Welcome to the pop culture cosmos.
And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford. See, third time is a charm. You were right. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, Lakers Latest, and the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you catching all of our great shows. And if you can, please make sure you give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure if you're watching this on the YouTube or the Facebook or Twitch or wherever, go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us to get the latest information on what's going on in the world of pop culture like no one else. Been doing it for 500 plus weeks straight now. Can we continue? Will the streak go on? Find out each and every week right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos, indeed. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my dear friend, my compadre for all of those weeks, or very, very, very many of them, I should say. It is a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and catch what he's doing today on his own media empire with Humanican Media. Of course, also as well, the Plucky Gamer, the Happy Hoarder, Topicocalypse, all the great things that he's doing out there as well. It is, of course, my good friend, Josh, the great Peterson. What's up, man?
What's up? Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seasoned veterans at this by now. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you think that
Mhm.
if so before COVID, we had podcasts were a way for the everyman and woman and in between, right, to kind of get their name out there, build a following, kind of like gain some notoriety. And then COVID happened and the celebrities took over the podcast industry. Do you think, had COVID not happened, do you think that like our show would be getting not Joe Rogan numbers, but like, up there?
I think it could have been. I think it would be. Again, when I was pitching it out to many different media outlets, large and small alike, I remember I I had conversations with as far as National Public Radio, another other big outlets, worldwide outlets, and again, that's something that they were interested in. But like you said, when you don't carry that huge name up front, and now it's these podcasts, a lot of the cases are owned by corporations and whatnot. So yeah, you're right. But it was some medium that was leaning more and more to its success. I think it ultimately would have garnered the same kind of success had not COVID happened. It just would have taken a more gradual rise so that it probably would have gotten close to what it would be now because people were trending towards podcasts. Gen Z, younger generations were starting to go ahead and listen to more podcasts, and podcast medium was becoming much more popular. And as you know, once something starts to get really truly popular, everybody wants their piece of it. So I think though it would have been nice because the fact instead of just the immediate jump in by all these different outlets and all these different entities and all these different stars, we would have had maybe a better, easier pathway, a better pathway to go ahead and achieve that success. Although, I'm still trying. I'm still thinking about ways that we can put the show out there on a weekly basis to everybody out there. So I would love to go ahead and do that. I mean, maybe somebody with one of those channels, one of those many channels that are out there that are on television, all those like the Samsung TV channels or the Tubi
Oh, that's
channels.
right.
Yeah. If anybody's out there that wants an hour of free programming, check us out, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. What do you think?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like and this might be because of the break in podcasting, but the Super BS, like back before, we went on that hiatus, like it was getting, 300 to 400 downloads per episode. And then, when we came back, we were struggling to get like 20. So
Uh,
and I think it's because there are, and yeah, a lot of it could be the hiatus, but I think there's definitely something to factor in when it comes to like the celebrities getting into the podcast space.
we have episodes of this show that have reached over 10,000 downloads,
Yeah.
15,000 downloads. We were during COVID getting regularly over 1,000 downloads, but you're right. Once everybody went back to work or everybody did other things with their lives, then there became a point where a well supported podcast became much easier to promote to people and much easier for people to decide to go ahead and catch once they had less time than a show like ours, which maybe didn't have the kind of reach that those other shows did. But again, doesn't mean they're better because they're certainly not. Because again, we've got received many a praise over the years, in which we're very thankful for. But maybe someday there'll be our time indeed on the sun. Maybe
Oh yeah.
another another 500 weeks. Oh,
Heck yeah.
heck yeah, indeed. But my friend, it is great to have you here again. At numbers aside, I just enjoy talking to my friends around the world about pop culture. That's the best part about doing this. That
Oh,
is
absolutely. I mean, it's always been a big show in my mind, man.
absolutely, absolutely. Same here as well. Again, it is the Pop Culture Cosmos. We're still on several media outlets overseas and around the world. So I'm grateful for it. I gave you guys hopefully a shout out. If I didn't, let me know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. And I will give you a shout out that you well deserve. But I think I covered all the media outlets that still cover us to this date. It is, of course, Josh, the great Peterson, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We'll get started with the actual show now, which starts, Josh, with a huge weekend, the biggest Hollywood movie opening of the year, with the Super Mario Galaxy movie getting uh,
Uh,
after 5 days, I think that they counted about $380 million worldwide at the box office. An absolutely huge opening. It's about the same, almost dollar for dollar opening as the original movie, which is great. I think that they should be happy at Universal for that because, usually sequels, you start a slide as far as it's concerned. So when you're either getting right around the same or above, I call that a win, especially in right now with Josh, you talked about before about going back to the movies being something that in this day and age with inflation and the prices of everything, it's a selective thing and a selective event, and were selecting over the past 5 days to see the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to see some money flown into the box office this year. Because look, we're already in April, and we have Pegasus 3 sitting at 600 million, but that seems pretty low, right? For this far into the year, it seems like we'd have something in the 700, 800 range. But didn't the last Mario movie, did that almost cross a billion, or did cross a
It
billion, or
did
what was
cross a
the?
billion.
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely have I can foresee this movie making its way up there, because I mean 372 million for one weekend is pretty darn impressive, man. And also, not to mention, a lot of kids are off school today. So I mean, who knows what this number could be, after today or by the end of next weekend.
Yeah, that's what my friend Legend, who is in the Georgia area, told me that this week is their week spring break, and I'm like, wow, because here in Nevada was like three weeks ago, almost
Yeah.
a month ago, and I'm like, okay, all right, great, yeah, enjoy. I didn't know that as far as because it's different parts of the country celebrate their spring break at different parts of the year, and this could mean a lot for the success of the movie. But I wanted to ask your thoughts on this because this movie is getting not quite the same critical returns from both fans and critics that the first one did. This one seems to be laying its hat heavily on nostalgia and a little bit less on plot. Your thoughts on that, my friend? Because in some cases, so what I'm reading and what I'm seeing as far as an overload of new characters added to the movies that most Nintendo fans would be very familiar with. Your thoughts on that as far as, maybe going in a little bit different direction seeing how it'll hold out. I do not know if it will have the same kind of legs the first one did, but it seems to be more geared towards kids this time around and less towards the adults outside of us going, "Hey, I know who that is. Hey, I know who that is. Hey, I know who that is," throughout the entire film.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like I think we talked this past weekend about a certain publication, right? And like there's a cult of publication going around on definitely where it's like a lot of really I don't know if it's like snobby, but they're like, oh yeah, we want to go against the grain and judge everything super hard. We have our checklist, but also like I feel like you have the first movie. What made it magical was like the build up, right? You had the exposition. You're telling us like who Mario is. Like this was the history of a character we all grew up with. We all know and love, and they're putting that on the screen. It was just really magical to see. But now like that magic's gone, right? And you actually have to rely on good storytelling to get people to continue to stay interested. But your comment about how this movie seems like it was made more for kids, it is though, right? Like it's made by Illumination, and in my gut, like I feel like these movies are Nintendo's way of trying to get a new generation interested in Mario. Like what? Mario's over 50 years old now. I mean,
Just basically the exact same thing we asked the Star Wars IP to do. Make
yeah.
a movie for a new generation, Josh.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that this is made, I think they love that we're watching it, but I don't think it's specifically made for us. And honestly don't think at all that it's made for the reviewers because they don't like fun movies. And granted, I haven't seen this movie yet. Like I'm gonna take my kids to see it hopefully this week. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's more important for Nintendo to please the kid audience than it is for them to please the people with the pen and paper, you know?
But I think that the charm of the first one, like you said, was not only the fact that it was geared towards kids, but it had enough substance to and also things in it that appealed to an older audience to allow them to go ahead and stay interested for the 90 minutes, if that makes sense. This time I think it becomes a little bit more formulaic and a little bit more kid centric, and in doing so, despite that, I think that what they realized in the movie, as far as because it's got a terrible Metacritic and it's got a terrible Rotten Tomato score, as far as from a critical basis. But I will say that the one thing it has going for its favor is the fact that yes, maybe the plot and is more simplified and more kid centric, but they try to go ahead and get the adults in there interested by throwing a lot of familiar characters as Easter eggs or throwing a whole bunch of Easter eggs that you're supposed to still say, okay, while you're not paying attention too much. Oh, I remember Star Fox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so something like that you'll see throughout the film.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there's any Smash Bros references because I know a lot of people are really clamoring for a Super Smash movie.
Zelda, I believe, is next on the docket, but yes, a Super Smash Brothers movie could probably be in the making, because that is a great property that they've could go ahead into. So you're right on that. But my friend, again, I'm not going to argue with the success. Again, having a movie as successful a start as the previous one, I'm not gonna say anything bad or detrimental about it because that's exactly well, you'd like a little bit more, but this ain't half bad at all as far as hitting those numbers and not seeing a sharp decline from movie 1 to movie 2.
Yeah, yeah, definitely impressive, as far as like numbers go. And it's funny though too, because like a lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on in the review space that much anymore. So despite even if it is bad, like people are gonna go see it before they find out that it is bad. So
Mhm.
it's I think they're still gonna get the box office returns they're looking for.
We'll find out, my friend, but I think that's a good strategy, though, that they're not gonna go back to Mario for the next one. I think it is Zelda on the next one. And like you said, I would do a Smash Brothers after that, and then maybe as the 5th movie, go back to Mario for a trilogy, if that makes sense. Just you're not trying to force feed people the same Mario style movie 3 times in a row. Instead, you're giving them something different to look at with Zelda in the Nintendo universe, and then after that, like you said, a Super Smash Bros. Could work, really work on that, and then you come back to it so it seems like it's fresh again when you just have a centralized Mario story.
Yeah, I've been curious if they're because this is a Mario Galaxy movie, so I've been curious if they're gonna eventually try to do like one for all the mainstream titles, Mario Odyssey, and even if they'll go back and visit like Mario 64. Like I'm really curious if they're gonna try to hit all those up.
We'll see. Again, though, there was several references. Again, I know Glenn Powell. Uh, they instead of making it a surprise, Hollywood just does not want to give out surprises anymore. They told everybody in advance that there was Star Fox would be in the movie and that Glenn Powell would be playing the character as far as voicing the character is concerned. So that's kind of a bummer part because the fact is, they just wanna give away everything before you actually see it in the film, like it needs to substantiate itself in that matter, but, again, I still can't argue with the success of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but yeah, it's kinda disappointing that they didn't leave that as a, "Oh, man, did you check it out? Did you" a viral moment as opposed to something you already knew was gonna go ahead and happen.
Yeah, right, right.
So, what are your thoughts out there on the Super Mario Galaxy movie? It has earned an amazing 380. I want to go ahead 300 about right $380 million at the worldwide box office in its first 5 days, right around exactly where the first one did, which has to be considered a big success for Illumination and Universal. Now Illumination has another winning series with Despicable Me, Minions, and now right there also as well with the Nintendo series of movies. What are your thoughts on the Super Mario Galaxy movie? Did you like it? Did you think it was more focused on the kids as far as what most people are saying from it? Not all, but most people are saying from it. And then also as well, where would you like them to go next in the Nintendo universe? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So make sure you go ahead and let us know. Either write down below in the comments or popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's show. I wanted to go ahead and give you plenty of time to talk about another movie set before I get into The Boys, before we get into Starfield, before we get into Samson, Tyndalston Story, before we get into our MCU review at the end of the show. Wanted to go ahead and give you plenty of time to talk about 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which again came out in January. I know we mentioned it then, but despite glowing reviews for this one, it's exact opposite, Josh. It received glowing reviews from the critics and didn't get any traction. Even in a month where not a whole lot is released, that's good. It's a shame that something that was good was released and nobody cared about it. And all I can say is I think that after the first 28 years later movie, I think a lot of people were kind of done with the series, even though they knew that the 28 years later series, most people knew that there was going to become a trilogy as far as it's concerned. Your thoughts on the Bone Temple? I did, as per your request, check out quite a bit more of the movie itself and what I've previously seen. It's a really good story. Ray Fiennes turns in a really great performance. The character Samson, as far as the infected individual, he seems to have found a cure for it. He meets the Ray Fiennes character, has an ending. I'll leave it at that. And then, of course, the gang that's involved as far as the antagonists in the movie obviously have their place in the movie as well. Your thoughts, my friend? You wanted us to talk about this, and as always, my friend, when you mention something, I always try to make sure we have plenty of time to get that in.
So, okay, so after watching, I went into this movie not expecting much, right? Like, it didn't do so well. People, so I figured like, oh, maybe people just didn't like it. But after watching it, like I was really like blown away by how great it was. There were definitely parts in it like with the Jimmies where like I had to get up for a few minutes and walk away because like it's just very, very gruesome. But that really gruesome stuff is only really like 20 minutes of the movie. So, that's holding you back from watching it. Don't worry about that. You can fast forward that part. But we don't get movies like this anymore. Like what's really great about, both this one and the last one is that and even you go far back as to the first one sort of had similar themes. The second one was just garbage, as Hollywood got their hands on something that they thought would be really great if they got their hands on. But yeah, we don't get movies like this anymore. We don't get movies that really like talk about the human experience. We get movies that have political agendas. We get movies that are all just like spectacle, but nothing that like truly feeds your intellect. And I feel like this movie definitely did that, right? Like it's this concept of what happens when the world just what happens when there's something that the people have to band together to get through. Do we have the ability to do that anymore? I mean, look at how warped we our minds and our perspectives have become. So even if a tragedy happens, right, or something like COVID, right? Like look at COVID when that happened. Like none of us could even agree on like what should be done about it. So I mean, it's kind of the same concept here with 28 years later. Like you have all these different factions of people and nobody wants to help each other out, and then you have the Jimmies who are going around just killing everybody. So it's a very like great narrative on just humanity in 2025 or 2026. So I mean, I thought that it was a really great movie, and we just don't get stuff that really does that anymore. But to go back and touch on the lack of success, I think it's because like look at 28 years later, right? The first one, it hits it hit on demand or Netflix. I want to say it was like 4 weeks after it came out. Was that about sound about right?
A little bit later than that, but yeah, but not too much later because remember it's a Sony film, so Sony it doesn't going back to the days when they had their own streaming service, it could have gone to Crackle, but again, that's a what if for another day. Again, the Crackle story. They have the deal with Netflix, so their stuff goes right away. So probably I think let's say 6 to 8 weeks because it goes to digital first, where if people wanted to go ahead and buy it at a premium price at home, it goes there, and then it goes to then it goes to Netflix. But it was actually a decent run. It actually made a decent amount, so it actually had some legs at the box office.
So that I mean, I think that's the problem though. And I mean, not not having a decent run at the box office. I think the problem was that it at least to my perspective, it came out onto on demand really fast and or not on demand, sorry, Netflix, and it immediately like shot to the top of the what do you call it? The Netflix most viewed list. So this movie just dropped on Friday and it shot to the top of the Netflix most viewed list. So I think people were it's one of these things we always talk about, right? Like
It's a
where
habit.
it's a habit where people are like, why should I go to the movie theaters when this is going to be, I can literally watch this on Netflix. Like Netflix made no attempt to like hide the fact that you're going to be able to watch this like really soon. And so people are just like, oh, okay, let me just wait until it comes out on Netflix. So I guarantee you, like had this if this weren't dropped on Netflix and it was just like went straight to on demand where you have to pay $20 or whatever, we would have seen better box office numbers. But I think people were just this is just like you said, it's just become habit.
And maybe it's also the Bone Temple came out maybe too soon after the initial 28 years later movie. That might be another thing. I understand January is pretty much an open time, Josh, where it's often a dumping ground for bad films that, you gotta put out there to do something and doesn't do anything, i.e. Mercy. That slop. But it was a good movie in a bastion of bad movies in January, and I think a lot of people just were busy doing other things or just didn't put on his priority list because they had
No.
seen 28 years later. And like you said, they were saying, okay, I'll catch that on Netflix. I'll catch that on
Yeah.
Netflix. I think it would have come out maybe in June, July, in that area, might have gotten more loved as a summer movie.
Yeah, yeah, and also, like, there was 0 marketing for this movie, like, it
Oh, yeah.
was not there's no
You didn't
trailer.
even know, didn't you? I think you told me you didn't even know it came out when it
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I told it. Yeah, that's what I remember just being shocked that it was even out in theaters, but, one closing thought here is that, like, Ralph Fiennes, like, this movie showed so much range to his acting, right? He went from, like, serious doctor to, like, playing pretending to be Satan for that one guy, and it's just the depth of his acting was absolutely insane in this movie. So we get to the end, right? And we had Cillian Murphy's back, right? That's what everybody was.
Spoilers!
Spoilers, sorry, yeah, and that's what everybody's been clamoring for, and
Mhm.
we see just
Everybody, there were so many people that thought he was the original skeleton
that's
that
right,
you saw popped up in the, original 28 Years Later movie. That was
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, so we see him and his daughter, and I'm getting the feeling his wife probably died somewhere, but it's the door they the completion of the trilogy is in sight. Do you think that we're going I've seen a lot of, like, whispers. Sony committed to it back in January. Remember they officially announced that it was going into production, but following the box office numbers, and we haven't seen or heard much about what was going on. I know Alex Garland was, like, tapped to write the movie, but do we see do you see the trilogy coming to completion here?
Well, Danny Boyle, Alex Garland, have been, like, all over the place on whether they're gonna complete it or they're not gonna complete it. My guess is the fact that, yes, despite his, financial lack of success, the critical part of it, because I have a feeling it's gonna end up on a lot of top movie lists, like
Yeah.
10, top 20 movie lists at the end of this year, but also as well the fact that it does well on Netflix. Like you said, it shot up to the top of the movie charts, that you noted as far as the Bone Temple is concerned, and the fact that it was a start to where the rage virus has a cure, which is something I like in zombie movies. Is when you actually find the cure and actually, do something about it. So it's just,
And it was that part of the story was meaningful. Like, that was what's great about it. You don't get that often. Most of the time, it's just, like, doctors scrounging and like, "Oh, we've came up with a cure," but, like, there's actually, like, exposition to this part of the film.
yeah, seeing Samson, who is the zombie that gets turned back to normal, realize, the last moments of his life before it changed because of the rage virus. I really like that part. I really do. And then, at the very end, still seeing that he has that rage, that strength, that anger, even though he does now have the memories of what it was like as when he was a child when he got infected. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays itself out. I think they do get a chance to allow this to come to a conclusion. I think with the clout that Danny Boyle, Alex Garland have, I think they do. I think if Sony doesn't keep it, I think somebody will pick it up. A24, someone will pick it up for a conclusion. Again, this movie is done well enough on Netflix. I think it warrants another go around, even if it's produced just by Netflix itself.
Yeah, well, I know that's what I was gonna say. I think Netflix had expressed interest in buying the rights to the last movie, so, um yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But, like, at this point, though, like, just like the first one was financially and critically successful. This one was critically successful, not so much financially successful, but it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to lose with how cheap they are to make. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to lose in just finishing it.
No, there's doesn't seem like it's that expensive a movie to make, so I agree. And plus Nia DaCosta, just want to go ahead and give a shout out to Nia because I believe that is the director of the Bone Temple and, taking over for Danny Boyle on this, and I think that it's been an outstanding takeover as far as what I see. It's a really good movie. It's the best movie I've seen so far this year. And it's going to probably be on our list of the best of pop culture for 2026.
Yeah, I definitely concur with that statement. Um, before we move on, man, so there's been some I don't know if you could call it slop or anything put out on Prime lately. Have you seen what's that movie with Mercy, right? With Chris
Yes. Well, that came out in that same month as the Bone Temple. So
okay. Yeah, and then they had the Chris Hemsworth one just came out
Crime
on
101. Yes. I was
yeah,
asked
so
to watch that movie.
I thought that that was coming out to theaters, but I didn't even see it
It
come
did
out.
come out in theaters. Yes. It came out
When?
in right around, I believe, Valentine's Day, if I'm not
Oh my
mistaken.
gosh, I had no idea. Well, it's the same thing with that what was that movie Caught Stealing last year, right? Like all these movies
Yes.
are getting
That was an August release, but yes, it went to Netflix shortly thereafter because it failed at the box office.
yeah, they're all getting trailers in the movies, but they come out and you don't even know they're there. It's like they 2 weeks gone, and there's no marketing or advertising. You have no idea at all.
And I'm not sure that's a bad thing. I think again, it just comes down to the point where is this a movie when you stack it behind on Valentine's Day weekend? Was this a Valentine's Day movie? Wuthering Heights disappointed. I guess it did okay at the box office, but I guess think they were thinking better things. But that was the movie to go see on for a lot of people on Valentine's Day weekend, not
Yeah,
Crime 101. And I'm just going to say this in regards to Crime 101. It tells you that maybe a lot of these movies should just go straight to streaming because they'll get really successful. They'll go to the top of the charts. And in some cases, may have long tails that might necessitate more movies in the mix
yeah,
because of that, as opposed to going ahead and dying in the theaters and getting a bad reputation before it even comes out on digital. And secondly of all, when we look back on Chris Hemsworth's career, or somebody does, they're going to see that the man is extremely talented. The man is extremely skilled
yes,
at what he does. I think he's a very underrated as a comedic performer on screen. But the man has just, as far as his support team, they just picked the wrong projects for him outside of Marvel. It just absolutely will go down to say what could have been, what should have been. He should have been the probably the biggest star of the last decade, in my opinion, as far as what he brings as far as charisma, presence, and skill, acting or comedic wise. But the fact he's been giving so many just bad projects, or he said yes to so many bad projects, I think is always gonna be something that said, "You know what could have been when it came to Chris Hemsworth." Chris Hemsworth probably should have been much more successful outside of Marvel than he ultimately has become.
oh, absolutely. You know what I always like could picture was Chris Hemsworth in a Guy Ritchie film.
Yep, I
Yeah,
agree.
like, I feel like his comedic acting chops would be perfect for something like that. Now, a more serious film like the one that, that just came out, I mean, I've seen trailers for it, doesn't quite look like it matches him, and, I'll be honest, like, Rush was a decent movie. Was the one with, sort of like Nikki something or like
Niki
the 2
Lauda, yes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's Ron Howard movie, but it's that one again, that one did okay at the box office, but not it wasn't the thing that sent his career outside of Marvel into the stratosphere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I don't I think that that boat has come and gone. I think that he is Thor and he'll be a few other things, but I don't think there's much after that unless they finally decide to do that Crocodile Dundee reboot they've been talking about forever and cast him in that, then I think that he'll have life beyond Marvel.
Yep, because they ain't doing Star Trek. He's now aging out. Can you believe that we're at a point where he's aging out of being,
It's
you know,
crazy,
Chris
man.
Evans.
20 is what 20 years ago is
Yes,
when the original Star Trek reboot came out.
yes. Again, it all passes by so fast. And now with the Star Trek series going in a different direction, we'll see what happens. But before we go ahead and move on to everything else, I wanted to touch on one last thing with the box office. A couple last things. So Project Hail Mary. continued success, only a 43% decline in its third weekend. It is heading right now at 420 million, so it could hit 500 million worldwide by the end of the weekend. So a great success for that movie. I highly recommend it. I really think it's good. It's also a great film as well. One of my best films as well this year as well. So yeah, that between that and the Bone Temple, I think they're both really good films you need to check out. And also as well, the drama with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, that came out this past weekend. I know that people were talking about the the secret that Zendaya lets out in the middle of the movie, as far as concerned, that changes the whole dynamic of the movie. And I'll just say that again, the movie did okay, $14 million at the domestic box office. It's a smaller A24 film, I believe, and just, but it's still, I think, again, it's hopefully going to be a good success for her. One thing I did want to ask you, she said in interviews in the press junket, in the car wash, as they call it, leading up to the opening of the film, she said, because you're going to see her in Spider-Man, you saw her in the drama. You see her I think this week with Euphoria season 3. I think that's coming out as well. Euphoria season 3 coming out. And then you're going to see her later on with Dune Part 3. She says she's going to take a break because everybody's worried about the Pedro Pascal effect, about, you're being on screen too much. Mike, my thing is this: Pedro Pascal worked very hard to get where he's at. He was doing a lot of bit roles uh, for a long time before he achieved the success that he did. And, if he's getting great projects from it, why are people faulting him because he's taking them? If you're worried about seeing him so much on the screen, or several times on the screen, I don't get it, Josh. I just don't get it. People, it's just like when you're finally appreciated for what you do and you're given the best of, or some of the best of the projects that are out there, why should you be punished for it? And it seems like that he's gotten a backlash because he's now or has been in the past 2 years, and a lot of stuff. He's cashing in on his success, either with good projects or with money projects. I don't see that as a bad thing. Remember, we've seen over the years, in our childhoods, we saw actors, or like Christopher Lee or some other actors, that were in dozens and dozens, and in some cases over 100 different projects, and nobody said, "Oh, I'm tired of seeing this individual too much," or if they
Yeah.
were on 3 movies or 4 movies a year, "I'm tired of." I don't get it, my friend. I just don't get it, because the fact is, you're faulting someone for being successful at what they do.
Yeah, what's funny is that this is pretty common practice to have somebody in a lot of movies. I mean, even you can go back to the what was it, the 60s, right? You had John Wayne and every John Wayne, Clint
She's in,
Eastwood.
The Odyssey as well. Forgot to mention that. She's in The Odyssey as well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't look at like Zendaya, 'cause I mean it might be because I don't pay attention to a lot of things that she's come out in. Not to say that they're bad, they're just like they go under my radar. Um, I definitely don't feel like she's outstayed her welcome, and Pedro Pascal
She's
is
a great and sensational actress.
yeah, yeah, and Pedro Pascal is another one where like I know he was in Gladiator and Fantastic Four, but like that's the only thing I felt that he was in, and I thought he was good in both of those. So I mean, it's but look back, like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Chuck Norris for a long time, right? Dolph Lundgren, Sylvester Stallone. Even in the 2000s, you had Vin Diesel. Remember when he first showed up? Like he was in Fast and the Furious, Triple X, Pitch Black, like all these movies all at the same time. Same thing with Jason Statham. Like this is a pretty common practice. It's not. I don't really see an issue with it, and I also feel like if you're stepping out of the limelight, like it's hard to get back in, because a lot of these studios want to cash in on people while they're hot. And
Yeah.
you've heard stories where someone stepped out of acting. Look at Josh Hartnett. I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes with him, but like he struggled to find casting opportunities out after that. That's why he ended up in Penny Dreadful and some other low budget flicks, which were actually pretty good. But I mean, he was set to be the next big thing after a while. And same thing with like Sam Worthington, right? And it wasn't because he's stepping out of the limelight, it's because those Avatar movies took so stinking long to make. But I don't think stepping away is a good move on her part.
No, and again, she may not be offered a role with by her stepping away that maybe she would have wanted, or maybe it would have really continued to propel her career. I mean, she's got a name, she's going to get a lot of stuff right now, but like you said, Hollywood, it can be a mean business, and just those days pass you by, they will pass you by. But I'll just say this, my friend, when it comes to Zendaya, sensational actress, one of the finest right there, outgoing, right as far as is concerned. I do think if she wants to do it because she needs a break, that's one thing. And if she needs a break, that's fine. She's living off of Dune, Marvel, everything as far as incorporated in there. That's fine. I have no problems with that. But if she's doing it because she's worried other people will go at her, because with Pedro Pascal, The Wild Robot, Gladiator 2, Eddington, The Last of Us, Materialist, and the Fantastic Four First Steps, all within a year, roughly, as far as release. That's what some people were mad about and criticizing about. If it's because of that, I just tell them to, you know, I tell them what. I'll just say that. But again, they should be allowed to pursue their careers how they see fit once they achieve that status and success. And Hollywood can be a very cold place once they get off the off the hot list and get onto the cold one.
Yeah, what's funny too is that you don't see like normal people going like, "Oh, I don't like Jeff because he's here at work every day." It's just a weird sentiment to think about.
No worries. But again, just wanted to go ahead and mention that with Zendaya. Again, if she's taking the time off because she wants to rest, then by all means, she's earned it. She's earned it. She'll have a very busy year of what she's worked on come out to the screen. So if you have thoughts on that, as far as Zendaya and Pedro Pascal and their workload, if you think it's too much, please let us know why. Because overexposure and things like that. What if it's just good projects? They're doing good jobs in it. Should they be faulted for that? Let us know your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we head on out, my friend, just some things to touch on of things either being released this week or things that we need to talk about before we head on out. And The Boys final season starts this week, my friend, on Amazon Prime, season 5. With Invincible going on as well. That's not in its final season, but it's starting to wind down a little bit with Invincible because of all the big battles that are going on there.
So like
But with the
two this season and next season, I think they're saying they're trying to end it
yeah,
after one. Yeah.
that's what I was trying to allude to. It's not in its final season, but it's heading towards it, because, as you know, in the streaming world, 4 or 5 seasons seems to be enough for almost everything there as far as it's concerned on streaming. But with The Boys final season coming to an end, I think it's going to be, for me, a sad time, because The Boys has been one of my favorite shows over the years. But the fact is, they've been wanting to, with that show, they've gone places when it first started out that very few shows ever ventured into, in the type of adult content it was presenting to people out there, the lines which it crossed in order to go ahead and achieve its objective. But in doing so, Josh, it also told a very strong narrative, and for the most part has been able to continue that strong narrative throughout. How do you see this ending with The Boys? Even though, again, the series with The Boys, the comic books, that went on for years in its own venture. How do you see it finishing up here with The Boys season 5?
That's a good question. Like I hope, because this is one of those shows I haven't quite caught up on everything in it yet. So I mean, it's got to end on. Sorry, they have a lot of subplots open still that they've got to get all wrapped up. And the big question here is like, do fans? Because it's such an awkward, not awkward as in bad, but like awkward as in like it's full of the unexpected. Like it's not, there's nothing formulaic about it. So how is it going to end? Like, are you going to end with something that you think pleases the fans? Do the fans want to be pleased? Do they want to just like see something completely messed up? Like how do you end a show like this?
Exactly. I guess the word I can say, I think it's okay. I could say it, but herogasm
Yeah.
was the word. So, and the thing is, they've set the bar so high on the insane, the chaotic, as far as what we've seen, the graphic. I don't know how much more they can go and how far they can go with a conclusion to it. I mean, it's the Butcher and Homelander got to have their final showdown. Yes, I understand. I get that, and the boys, and the matchup that we want to see. This is funny because I've told you over the years I've always wanted to see that Super Friends showdown with the Hall of Villains versus the Super Friends. This is probably going to be the closest thing I get to it for quite some time, in a weird and different way. Josh, I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I get you, man.
All right, but it is the final season for the boys. Something I'm looking forward to. So please let me know your thoughts if you're looking forward to it too. I'm not burnt out at all as far as they've spaced it long enough to where I'm still wanting to see it just almost as much as I did when I was really excited about it when I was talking about it so many years ago after the first two seasons. So let me know your thoughts on the boys' final season, season 5, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. We're getting to some video games before we get to the MCU review. Wanted to touch on first before we get into Starfield, Samson, a Tyndalston Story. I know that just people are like, what? That's a PC game, a gritty third-person actioneer. But as far as a very violent, gritty world, based on as far as I guess the guy that um, some dude who I guess a bank robbery went wrong and now he owes the mob a lot and they're going to come after him and stuff like that. I wanted to touch on the actual environment because while they say it's set in the 90s, it just seems like it has a more grittier feel like the 70s. And I mean, I don't even I saw these movies after they were made, well after they were made, but it reminds me of the Charles Bronson
Mm.
type movie, type feel as far as this video game is concerned, and wanted to ask your thoughts on if ever it would be an interest to go ahead like a Charles Bronson-esque type gritty 70s noir type feel that as far as it's concerned, that where he's just going out trying to go after the bad guys, bashing their heads in and coming up with a one-liner, and then that's it. I know it's very simple to the point, but for a video game, I think that environment could work out for a 8 to 12-hour video game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, on at first glance with the trailer you sent me, I it looks
It looks
the
70s to me, and I had to read the synopsis when I was sending it to you today to find out it was in the
yeah,
90s.
but it definitely like it feels like the original Watch Dogs too. Like there wasn't a lot of high tech. It's a rundown city, lots of questionable people walking around and things like that. And then it sort of has this mafia slash Grand Theft Auto, you can even say like heavy rain style gameplay. And I definitely like I think that it would be worth spending 6 or 7 hours in, but I mean it also depends on like, are we past the days of something like Max Payne being popular with people? You know, because that's I guess that would be the game I would compare it to apples.
Could be right. Again, I'm just maybe a pipe dream, but again, that just it looks like it's a gritty world that I might be interested in checking out, but I don't hold out much hope for success on it because A, it's a PC only driven game, and it just seems like it's asking itself to be a console game as well. And I don't know why it wasn't released entirely. Maybe it's budget, maybe whatnot, but again, we'll see. It doesn't look like it's too deep as far as the things you can do in it. As far as your character, you're just going out and beating the snot out of the other bad guys that are out there. And even though you're morally gray yourself, again, it just seems like a gritty world, and that kind of feel just brought me back to like, man, this reminds me of a Charles Bronson movie. Just him going out there and just I'm looking for some bad dude who's doing like stealing a purse from a lady or something, and I want to go ahead and beat his brains in or something like that, as far as that type of video
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
So,
I got you, man. I know.
and then you have that old Dodge Charger, 70s style looking Dodge Charger with that he's driving in, or Challenger, the Dodge Challenger that he's driving in type deal. It just seemed like it had that type of feel. That's what it hit me when I watched that trailer. So I'm wishing for its success, but I don't know if it's going to be a deep enough experience for people to enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean it, and that's the problem with these types of games, right? Like it appeals to a certain type of gamer. Like most gamers now, they want the ones who are looking for story games. Like they want the science fiction fast gameplay. This seems like a very like noir style game, and it appeals to definitely a certain type of fan.
Speaking of science fiction fast gameplay, even though this isn't fast gameplay normally, Starfield is hitting PlayStation 5 this week, also with a major free update, but also as well with new DLC, where the new DLC is Terran Armada. Your thoughts on this, my friend? They are still trying hard at Bethesda to get this game over, and I think they're asking or hoping that of a No Man's Sky Cyberpunk 2077 type revival for this game going forward. And now that it's hitting PlayStation 5 shelves very soon this week as we talk here, your thoughts, can Starfield ever get that kind of love that it feels it's trying hard to deserve?
I think they got too ambitious with this game, so I don't think so. Like it's it's too old now to really like. It's not, people aren't like fresh and exciting. Reviews have been out, even if it does release on PlayStation. Like there's gonna be people that get into it for the first time, but there's definitely gonna be people who are like, oh, I'm hesitant to go back to this, and like I said, it was too ambitious. It's too big. There's too much. It's such an to me personally, it's an overwhelming game. I know people who have played it and they really love it, but it's there's just so much in it that I think people played it for a while and like, yeah, this is cool, and then they just kind of fell out of it.
There is so much to it, but is it compelling? That's what I wanted to ask, because it just wasn't compelling. I tried to get into it and it didn't hook me, and it didn't hook me from the start.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that like Bethesda games, they're not so much like from a narrative standpoint, they're not that compelling. I mean, they have story to them that's like cool, but it's not like a Mass Effect, or what's another whatever example you have of like a great story driven game. What makes them so great is the fact that they are so immersive, and there's like just 100 different ways you can play it. I think with Starfield, the fact that like Elder Scrolls, right, is more not linear, but you're not wandering off planet. You don't spend hours driving through space. You explore wilderness, explore how you're constantly doing something. And I think that that's where Starfield falls short. I think what makes Elder Scrolls so great is that you're constantly engaging with the environment, the people in it. You're picking up weapons. You're exploring deep caverns, and this one is just like it's space, right? It's what you expect it to be. So it's like watching um, Interstellar and Apollo 13, right? Like the movies are definitely, there's more excitement in one than there's in the other. So I don't know, man. Like I don't think the game's compelling, but also like I stopped playing it like over a year ago, so a lot could have changed since then.
Just seems very plastic. It's a plastic universe, in my opinion. Just, and anything that really is exciting. The gunplay seems, has been good, you know, but the space flight and the space traversal and the space fighting is just, it's not
Yeah,
substantive, and it's just seems very, it's just a very plastic universe, in my opinion. I just think that's part of the reason why Starfield may never connect with an audience largely.
yeah. No, I agree, man. I agree. It's just they got real, like I said, they got really ambitious with it, and I think there's too much ambition for the vision that they were trying to put together.
So what are your thoughts out there on Starfield as it hits PlayStation 5 with new DLC and free and paid DLC coming at it. Your thoughts, let me know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com or in the comments below, indeed. But before we head on out, my friend, time to continue our trek through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Your thoughts, my friend, on what's going on with the MCU, with the latest MCU review, my friend.
Okay, so I want to take a break from reviewing movies for a minute. I think we need to talk about Daredevil, the new season. Have you watched it
Okay.
yet?
I've caught up. Well, it's only what, 3 episodes, two
Yeah.
episodes, 3 episodes in. Yeah, I've watched it so far. Yes.
What do you think, man? What are your thoughts?
It's okay. It's I like the swordsman. I
Yeah.
got to see him actually do some stuff in this one. I like the fact that it ties into, they tie it into other series, how they have now again with Daredevil tying itself into other series, like for instance the Hawkeye series, the best MCU series. So again, I think it's okay. I don't think it's bad. It's just not what we saw as far it's not going to go to the places and type of daring things. I just felt with maybe it's less budget, or maybe it had a grittier feel, just like similar to what we talk about with Samson. I just thought that the Daredevil series on Netflix felt more alive, if that's the
Yeah.
case.
So okay, so my thoughts are all over the place on this. Like one, the way they're trying to make Daredevil like larger than life now, like they've removed, like you said, they removed a lot of things that made the Netflix show great. Like they started to do this in the last season too on Disney Plus, but you don't get a lot of like the really gritty action scenes. You don't get the tight fighting choreography where you get to actually like see the punches, like it plays out like a street level martial arts film. You don't see that. It's all just like flips and things like that, right? It feels like I'm watching a less acrobatic version of Spider-Man. Um, and then you have the story feels a little bit too what am I trying to say? Like the premise of it feels a little bit too impossible, right? So I know that there's like this is what we talked about before, right? Where like our modern politics are bleeding into our pop culture. Like this is definitely like a lot of let's say like the comparison with like what's going on with ICE and all that. But in the real world, right, though, like the governor would not allow an entire city to go into a lockdown like that. I feel. Am I wrong? Like there's just an element of non-reality there that I've been struggling to cope with.
Well, it's just because the fantastical character, I think, of the Kingpin himself, but it does have some real modern day relations to what we're seeing in real life these days. But again, the fact that also as well that Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin character, for whatever reason, Sony and Marvel cannot come together on agreement to put him in the Spider-Man movies, which is
I know.
absolutely the he even said it's the dumbest thing he's seen, because can't understand why he wants to fight and beat up Spider-Man. I think we do too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's crazy to me. Like there's all this like contractual stuff. Like it sucks too because as long as Marvel is using Spider-Man, they can't rely on Sony just like letting the rights go back to Marvel. Like this is just the weirdest like song and dance I've ever seen. But I mean it's just okay, right? It's not great. Like this whole season of Daredevil has just not been great, and the story so far is all right, but it's not compelling, man. It's not it just like it felt like the Netflix show had real like consequences to it, and like there's in here we're basically seeing a comic book play out instead of like something that feels a little bit more grounded, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I'm not sure how I feel about it too, but we're going to go ahead and stick through it. It is on Disney Plus right now. New episodes, I believe, come up every Tuesday. So go ahead and check it out and let us know what you think. Is it the same magic from before with Netflix, or is it something a little bit less or more? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
No, not that I can think of. Did I tell you that I watched Ready or Not a couple weeks ago? Did we talk about
Yes, I
that?
believe you did,
Okay.
but
All right.
share a little bit more on it if you want.
I don't know. Like the more like I sit and think about that movie, the more like it was pretty entertaining flick, man. I'm looking forward to watching the next piece on when it comes out on digital or whatever.
Yeah, because right now, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, that point is coming soon. I'll just say that. Looking at its box office returns, yeah, it's coming soon.
But this is another one that we talked about before, like 28 years later, right? Like people just if it's not a spectacle film and it's not like something like a pop culture movement, I'm just gonna wait and watch it on my couch.
So for Josh the Great Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Welcome to the pop culture cosmos.